Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome everyone to today's Explainer. We've got a really fascinating narrative to unpack today, one that perfectly blends mystery, some great dramatic irony, and a literal ticking clock crisis. We're looking at the legendary story of the Sorcerer Princess. And right from the jump, this story sets up some massive fairy tale stakes. We're talking a kingdom on the brink of destruction, a prophecy just waiting to be fulfilled, and a massive secret hiding literally in plain sight. If you're the kind of person who loves a good puzzle where the clues are scattered right in front of you, well, you're absolutely going to love this breakdown.
So the central question driving everything we're about to discuss today is simply this. Where is the Sorcerer Princess? You see, the kingdom in our source material, they aren't just facing a minor hiccup. No, they're facing what's called a great challenge. It's a doom so incredibly insurmountable that not even the king's own armies with all their strength have any hope of defeating it. The only, and I mean literally the only, promise of salvation lies with this one specific prophesied individual. But the catch, nobody has a clue where she is.
Which brings us to Section 1, The Legend and the 5 Gifts.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're looking for. The Sorcerer Princess isn't just some fancy royal title. It's actually a destiny defined by very, very specific conditions. The legend dictates that she's going to possess 5 distinct, super powerful magical gifts. And importantly, she won't just be, lingering around the castle. The prophecy is super clear that she is destined to reveal herself only when the kingdom truly needs her the absolute most.
So what exactly are these powers? Well, first, there's the gift of sight, literally the ability to see miles and miles away. Second is hearing, being able to pick up the tiniest of whispers even from entirely different rooms. Third, taste, which is the super vital ability to taste poisons hidden in food. Fourth is voice, the power to actually converse with animals. And finally, touch, the devastating ability to turn things to solid stone with just a single finger. Now, I want you to really keep these 5 gifts in mind, because the true princess absolutely must possess all of them at once, not just 1 or 2, the whole shebang. Moving on to Section 2, False Alarms and Magical Dresses.
So, we zoom out from the fancy royal court and drop into a very humble little corner shop. Here we meet Claudia. She's a seamstress working alongside her mother, and this happens right as a sudden, highly confusing outbreak of magic just sweeps through the streets. The shop runs out of their usual ideal fabrics, and Claudia, wanting to help her mom with his crazy workload, insists on taking over the sewing for a really important client. She says, "I'll make a purple dress that the Duchess will be excited to wear." And it's this completely ordinary, totally mundane act of sewing a purple dress that actually sets the entire mystery into motion. Let's move to and see how this builds into a really fantastic cycle of dramatic irony. Step 1. A customer puts on a gorgeous dress sewn by Claudia. Step 2. Suddenly, out of nowhere, that customer gains a temporary magical gift. It could be the Duchess seeing a baby bunny miles away, or a little girl talking to her dog Chester. Then, Step 3. These customers, entirely convinced that they are the prophesied savior, run straight to the royal court to claim the title of Sorcerer Princess. But then comes Step 4. When the king and queen actually test them, the power abruptly fails. The wearers mistakenly believe that the magic is coming from them, when in reality, it's something else entirely.
It's a classic clash of information. On one side, we have the royal prophecy, this steadfast, unwavering belief in one single princess born with 5 permanent gifts. But on the other side, utter chaos is breaking out in the streets because of this new town rumor. People believe that just buying a dress from the corner shop suddenly grants you one random, unpredictable power. So the kingdom is essentially dealing with this wild epidemic of magical misunderstandings.
And honestly, as with any town rumor, things just get blown completely out of proportion. People are legitimately walking into this dress shop repeating wild rumors like, "I hear you'll grow 4 eyes and see in the dark." It's pretty funny, but it really highlights just how distracted the general public has become. They're treating this deeply important, kingdom-saving prophecy like it's some sort of magical lottery ticket. And these false alarms just keep creating chaos at court. For instance, the Duchess shows up claiming the gift of sight, but when the royals ask her to spot something tiny, she just completely dismisses it, saying her silly powers aren't working right now. Then, you have this young daughter who arrives claiming the gift of voice because she had a chat with her dog,
But when they present her with a little bird at court? Absolute silence. She hears nothing. It's just a parade of continuous disappointment for the hopeful king and queen.
Which brings us to Section 3, the ticking clock.
Despite these endless daily reports of magical dresses and random townsfolk getting powers, the queen remains an absolute pillar of clarity. She commands the court, saying, "Do not be fooled by these rumors. She has not yet arrived. We must wait." She knows the legend inside and out. She knows for a fact that the true princess will have all 5 gifts simultaneously and certainly won't need a dress to use them. Her steadfast belief really anchors the story here, reminding everyone to keep their eyes on the actual prize.
So the crucial point here is that they are completely, terrifyingly running out of time. The prophesied great challenge hasn't just been looming in the distance anymore, it has actually arrived at their doorstep. We learn that the gates on the far south of the kingdom have officially fallen to the enemy. And worse, the eastern gate is threatened to be taken next. The kingdom's defenses are rapidly crumbling. They literally can no longer afford to sit around waiting for false princesses.
And that leads us to Section 4, the true source of magic.
With the kingdom quite literally falling apart around them, the narrative pulls us right back to that humble corner dress shop. Claudia is back at her work table, but she's crying. She admits, "Every dress I sew is more beautiful than the last. I cry because I wish to wear a dress this beautiful one day." She's pouring so much of her own soul into these dresses, making them increasingly stunning, yet she's just weeping out of pure humility and longing. She truly, deeply believes she'll never get the chance to experience wearing a dress that beautiful herself.
And it's at this exact moment of vulnerability that Claudia's mother finally connects the dots. Remember how her mom took over some of the sewing while Claudia was managing orders? Well, the mother realizes that the dresses she sewed were total duds. Customers were coming back complaining that they didn't get any magic whatsoever. But every single dress sewn by Claudia, those were the ones imbued with temporary, extraordinary magic.
Now, what's really interesting here is the breakdown of the actual mechanics of the magic that had literally everyone fooled. Step 1, Claudia sews the dress. Pretty standard. But step 2 is the actual catalyst. Claudia cries over her work, and her tears, which her mother suddenly notices are actually glowing, fall right onto the fabric. That glowing, magical essence from her tears is exactly what was giving the wares a temporary power.
And that brings us to this incredibly powerful realization. The magic was never in the fabric they bought at the shops. The magic wasn't inherently inside the duchess or the neighbor or the little girl. Claudia is the magic. The power was inside this humble seamstress the entire time, just spilling out through her tears of longing.
Which means, and let's just let the weight of this land for a second, Claudia is the Sorcerer Princess, the very savior that the king, the queen, and the entire crumbling kingdom had been desperately waiting for. She wasn't some royal hiding in a distant castle or a legendary warrior. She was hiding in plain sight, in a little corner shop, dutifully sewing clothes for the townspeople this whole time.
Let's head into our conclusion. The savior arrives. So we, the audience, have solved the mystery, but the kingdom is still under massive attack. Claudia has to step up, embrace her true identity, and actually face her destiny. And when she arrives at the royal court, she doesn't just show up with one flimsy temporary party trick. No, she proves the prophecy completely true by flawlessly demonstrating all 5 magical gifts right there in front of the monarchs: sight, touch, taste, voice, and smell. The royals recognize her immediately. They know without a shadow of a doubt that they were absolutely right to hold out and wait for her.
But there's absolutely no time for celebration. The king and queen lay the ultimate burden right on her shoulders, pleading with her. "Our southern gate is falling. You may be the only one to save us. Can you do it, Claudia?" I mean, they are directly asking this humble, everyday seamstress to step straight onto a battlefield and save their entire world.
And Claudia's response, it is the absolute perfect conclusion to her character arc. She agrees immediately, but she has one single request. After years of crying over the stunning dresses she made for other people, always thinking she'd never be worthy of one herself, she finally puts on one of her own beautiful, magical creations. And she simply says, "Now I'm ready."
It is so incredibly easy to assume that power or talent or magic belongs strictly to people in high castles or those with fancy, important titles. But as we saw with Claudia today, the greatest magic often comes from the most humble, overlooked beginnings. It really makes you wonder, what hidden gifts are waiting to be discovered in your own life? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating story with me on The Explainer today. Keep learning, keep wondering, and I'll